Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S. Here's what we know. A Washington state resident fell ill after returning from Wuhan, China, where the outbreak began. Officials now say more than 400 people have been sickened and 9 people have died.
Meanwhile, over in Italy, the government is resorting to a drastic measure. They're putting a quarter of the population on lockdown. Back here in the U.S., Washington, D.C. now has its reported first presumptive case, and New York's governor has declared a state of emergency.
Some breaking news now. We are following the coronavirus outbreak. A new case in the United States. It's in Massachusetts. It's that state's first and involves a man who had recently traveled from China to the United States. That makes 8 confirmed cases in the United States.
In a rare press conference, President Donald Trump outlined his government's plan of action.
Turning now to the news, and a second person in New York State has tested positive for the novel coronavirus, but how he got sick remains a mystery. The patient is a lawyer in his 50s, and he appears to be the first case of community spread in our area. Officials say he lives in New Rochelle, but works in Manhattan. He also has underlying respiratory issues and started feeling sick last week. He went to the hospital on Thursday and was moved to New York Presbyterian on Monday. That's where he tested positive for the virus.
You know, the words you hear most often to describe the situation is apocalyptic, also bankruptcy and depression. Consider the fact that the airlines and the airports are virtually empty right now, and the fact that there are fewer people flying right now than at any time since the 1950s and before the jet age.
California, the most aggressive we are seeing, and as you mentioned in your open there, putting pressure on the U.S. dollar. 40 million residents stay in place order. Here in New York State, Governor Andrew Cuomo is saying most non-essential staff need to stay home. About 75% of businesses should be working from home.
This morning sold out. Coronavirus driving a consumer scramble for hand sanitizers, even bars of soap. What was abundant, now in short supply. The company that makes hand sanitizer, Purell, telling NBC News, we have dramatically increased production since the beginning of the year. What is available? Selling at a record pace. In 1 week alone, hand sanitizer sales increasing more than 300%. Some big retailers like Target, Kroger, and Stop & Shop now rationing how much each shopper can buy.
President Trump held a press conference today to educate the public about the coronavirus, but I'm not sure it worked because, according to a new survey, 38% of Americans say they won't drink Corona beer because it sounds like coronavirus.
We passed a grim milestone today. More than 50,000 Americans have now died from this virus, and the number is likely much higher due to insufficient testing. At this rate, in just a few days, more Americans will have died from coronavirus over a span of roughly 9 weeks than died in the Vietnam War over a span of 12 years.
Now, obviously, these are extraordinary times that we're all facing. What are your feelings on the collective effort made by everyone around the world to do the right thing and stay home during these tough times?
Well, I think that pretty much everyone's listening to our government officials and trying to do the best thing for humankind. This is a war that has no visible enemy, which is very different for all of us around the world, and we have to do what's best for each other, and how we can help each other is by quarantining ourselves. I know it's frustrating, it's boring at times, but in the end, we're trying to save lives, and hopefully we can flatten this curve out and resume normal activities whenever months down the road. But the more we do what our government officials say, the sooner we can return to our normal daily activities.
At North Shore Country Club, we're doing what many courses are doing, which is trying our best to keep people getting outside I think the safest environment is being in the outdoors. We took everything off the golf course that people could touch that they don't own or have control over, meaning the rakes and the pins. So they're right now still playing to temporaries.
We're doing all we can to reduce touch points for our members and team. There are no bunker rakes or ball washers out on the course, and we've put raised cups on the putting greens. Last Sunday, we hosted a members' divot filling party, which brought a bunch of folks out to take a walk on a beautiful early spring day. We got some good work done, and the members got a preview of all the work we accomplished since last fall.
We can provide individual golf carts to all members. We have enacted an extremely rigid cleaning and disinfecting program for the entire property, as well as reduced touch points to an absolute minimum. Among other things, we are sanitizing golf carts with a bleach solution after every use. We have removed all the practice green flags. We have removed bunker rakes, ball washers, and the sand buckets from the golf carts.
Together, as we overcome and get through this challenge, this pandemic, even though there's no end in sight, one thing is for certain: society will overcome. Our new normal will be different.